My name is Dr. Bill Fleming, and I have been working for the past few years looking at the subject of faith. What is faith? How does it impact our lives? And how do we build our lives upon it? I've been looking at ways that we can help people to grow in faith, to have a more firm and a more constant foundation for their lives. And after several years of work, I produced the outline of a new book, which is called The Faith Matrix. This video is the summary of what I've learned.
What makes a soldier volunteer for a dangerous mission? A missionary forsake his country to live overseas? A fighter stand up after being knocked down again and again? A father work 2 jobs to get his daughter through college? St. Paul to say, "For me to live is Christ, and to die is gain." The answer is faith.
Sometimes you've heard people describe faith as a kind of crutch, something we hold on to in our lives. Actually, that's not accurate. Faith is not a crutch, it's a skeleton. Everything we are is built upon the framework of those things that we hold to and cherish and believe. Not just for Christians, but for non-Christians as well. It is something which is essential to who we are. Now, I'm not talking about religion. I'm talking about a real, personal faith. Faith is what we commit ourselves to, completely and wholly. The world around us is changing. Religion is falling out of favor. We can no longer rely upon our culture around us to support our faith or even to endorse our faith. We're living in a time where the only thing that is going to keep Christianity alive in America is going to be a hardy, sturdy faith that can stand against the winds of change that are all around us.
Consider these statistics found in Dickerson's book, The Great Evangelical Recession. Church attendance in America is now decreasing by roughly 1% per year. 4 out of 5 young people will leave the church by age 23. 83% of clergy now believe that the church in America is losing its influence. We are rapidly becoming a post-Christian culture. Even so, the decline in numbers and influence is not our main problem. The church has been a minority before and usually thrived in that position. The biggest problem we face is an even greater decline in faith. Our faith is whatever we obey without question, seek without limits, love without end. It is the one thing that gives purpose to our lives. How faith works. Picture the human soul as a 3-sided triangle. On one side is the physical aspect of our life, our bodies and those things which relate to our bodies. On the other side is the psychosocial aspect of our lives. That is how we feel and how we relate to other people. The third side is the faith or spiritual side of our lives. Faith, our foundation, provides the reason and strength for the actions in the physical and psychosocial dimensions of our lives.
Faith and belief are not the same thing. It's possible to have belief without faith. For example, I could believe in the Loch Ness Monster or UFOs or Bigfoot, and those beliefs have no difference in my life. I'm the same person whether I believe those or not. On the other hand, you can have faith without belief. There are people who base their whole life around movies like The Matrix or television shows like Star Trek. They become fans of them and they build their whole life around them, yet they don't believe they're real. Yet those myths give structure to their life.
Our faith is the set of values, beliefs, and ideals we base our lives upon. It is the spiritual basis for our lives, and it is our true God.
Faith gives structure to our lives, which means it's far more than just one part of our life. Every part of our life is built upon those things that we have faith in. It's more than what we just believe. It's more than what we feel. It's more than how we act. It's more than the people we hang around with. It's more than how we look at history. It's more even than our hopes. Faith is a combination of all of these things. Every part of us has a part in our faith.
Faith develops in our lives as a series of balanced points. Like points of a compass, they give us our sense of spiritual direction. Jesus refers to some of these points in the famous verse which says, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your mind, and with all your soul, and with all your strength."
Spiritual balance is not a linear process. It's not simply a question of knowing, but it's a question of learning the balance between knowing and believing. Faith is striking a balance between being alone and being in community, looking to the future and looking to the past. Faith is about action, but it's also about submission. It's about balance along four distinct axes.
Our faith is balanced along four axes: the head and the heart, aloneness and togetherness, activity and stillness, and past and future. The balance between head and heart involves, first of all, knowledge, an intellectual understanding of God, His Word, and His creation. Balanced with emotions, the desire for God, and empathy with Him. The balance between aloneness and togetherness involves community, the need to join in worship and life with God's people, and self-awareness, the need to recognize what God is doing in our own lives. The balance between activity and stillness involves submission, our commitment to obey God without question, and being still before the Lord. And action, taking the initiative to develop godly habits and behavior. The balance between past and future involves history, seeing God's hand in the traditions of the past, and hope, believing God's hands in the plans for the future. Knowledge, community, action, hope, emotion, self-awareness, submission, history. These together make up the faith matrix. Together, these 8 aspects mold Christians into the image of Christ.
Faith is like legs on a spider. When a spider moves from one leaf to another, he begins by putting one leg on that leaf, then another, then another, then another, until all 8 legs are upon that new leaf. The way we change faiths and the way we grow in faith is the same way. Sometimes we lead with our intellect. Sometimes we lead with our emotions. Sometimes we lead with our actions or with the community we're in. But each part of us must rest solidly upon a new faith before that faith is completely claimed as ours.
Because the Christian church is not about just producing disciples. Modern discipleship programs are not sufficient to develop lifelong spiritual growth in all areas. People do not develop spiritually in the same way or in the same places at the same time. No single process of discipleship meets the needs of all maturing disciples. Why is this needed? Because Christianity in America is losing power and influence. The early church influenced a generation through the quality of individual Christians' lives. The only hope for rescuing our culture comes from producing better quality Christians, Christians who can be salt in the earth, light in the darkness, and models of Christ's power, dedication, and compassion. Philippians 2:15-16 says, "That you may become blameless and pure, children of God without fault in a crooked and depraved generation, in which you shine like stars in the universe as you hold out the word of life.